do the things that you're doing with purpose and with passion, and then you will develop and find those things that truly fire you up, that show you more
Dang.
of what your purpose and passion are. Don't focus on having to know what that purpose or that passion is. Be passionate about what you're doing and being the best at what you're doing, and have the discipline to do those things. And if you keep doing that, that's going to come organically.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? I am your host, Ace Guzman of the MMM Podcast. Today, guys, I have a special guest coming on with Mr. Garrett Reed, man, and it's a pleasure having him. I met him through the Apex group, and looking forward into seeing where this conversation goes. Well, Mr. Reed, man, go ahead and introduce yourself, brother, man. What do you do?
My name is Garrett Reed. I am a partner in a general contracting firm that specializes in multifamily rehab. We do everything except for like ground up, really. We don't build like entire communities. Single building burns down, then we take care of it. But we help them with all their general maintenance, their visions to improve, maintain the properties, add amenities, city lender required repairs. I mean, really anything from the curb to the roof. So that's my day job. And then I also have two podcasts, one that is active called Common Sense podcast, where I sit down just like you and I are doing with unique individuals. We talk about their journey, their story, and really hope that we can pull out some nuggets that other people can learn from, to where maybe if I had Stuman on not too long ago. If people want to do what Stuman's doing, maybe they can hear the good, the bad, the ugly, and maybe time collapse a little bit and not have to go down some of those paths, and time collapse and do things better, quicker, learn something. It's the way I learn. I don't really watch a lot of news or media. I get most of my stuff from podcasts and stuff like that. And then I have a music podcast as well that we are still working on getting through the trademarking phase. So anybody that's ever gone through that knows what a royal pain that is to go through, and how much you have to learn and do. And we're on round 2 now, so doing that. And then I also am in development on doing more public speaking in the communications and networking world.
Awesome, brother. Man, you got a lot going on. I love that. And
Yeah, just keep a little bit in everything, man.
there you go. That's true entrepreneurialism, dude. I love it. And how long have you been doing? You say you're a contractor, right? So that's construction, right?
Yeah, the Element Enterprises is the multifamily contractor that I'm a partner in. Element has been around for going on 22 years now, and this is my 16th year with them. So I've done everything in this industry on the contractor side, from starting out as an estimator all the way to sales. Still do sales. I also do a lot of business development. I help with our marketing and networking, any of our social media stuff. I also train most of our estimators. I help with training of the sales guys when we bring somebody new on, and I'm a partner here now. So, it's been a journey from the bottom all the way to the top.
Yes, sir, 100%. And the what you were saying right now, stewing on your podcast, to help other people in their journey as well too, to make their essentially, I mean, there's not really any shortcuts, but if you can essentially, get some advice from somebody who's been there, done that, just to make your journey that much more easier, why not, right? Why not watch someone? And that's a belief I have, actually. That's something I always say when I go live, or shall I say, have said. When I go live on Facebook, I go, look, all I'm doing is documenting my journey. All I'm doing is just recording as I go, giving advice as I go, making mistakes as I go, and recording them, and essentially just, you know, hopefully there's somebody out there that needs that help, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got into, I did a show last night. You know how it goes, guests end up not working out or something like that. So me and my producer slash sidekick, Biz, we literally just sat and chopped it up and kind of like, what we do. And I mean, that's kind of what it is. We create a really laid back atmosphere. We have a cigar, we sit and have a cocktail if you want to. And, we just have conversation, man. And that's kind of where that podcast started, was me hanging out in Industrial Cigar Company, having amazing conversations with unique people. And I have a pretty large network being in sales as long as I have. I know a lot of people. And I think people get scared, everybody gets into this mindset of I have to have a mentor. And they don't know how to go about doing that. They want to hear those conversations that go on. And then people are also afraid to, pay for coaching,
Yep.
or going to things like you and I are going to be at Apex Live next weekend. So, people get leery about paying money to invest in themselves. But, if I told you, you said I wanted to lose 100 pounds of weight, be like, cool, I know this guy, man. Like, you should talk to him, Alex Shaw or XYZ, and you should have a conversation with him. It's affordable. I mean, if you're really serious about that, I mean, I know I went through that journey about a year ago where I got extremely overweight. My job had become more sedentary than I realized. And man, I had a bunch of bad habits and I was just packing on pounds. But growing up, I had always been the really skinny guy. Like, I had trainers and coaches for everything from baseball to weightlifting. I was doing crazy things just trying to put on weight. Cause I mean, I couldn't break 120 pounds at 6 foot tall until I was like 21. And that's a whole different level of training and mindset. And you do those things. Well, then, here I am, 44, about to be 45. And, late 30s, you start packing it on, man. And you get your lifestyle changes and you're doing all these different things and you don't really realize, but then you decide you want to do something about it and you don't know where to go. So, I feel like it's real easy for people, you break it down to something simple like losing weight. Okay, I can justify, not eating out and spending a little money on this weight loss coach. But you tell somebody that wants to become an entrepreneur or learn how to become a better public speaker, or they want to speak on stages like Stuman or something, and you tell them like, cool, you could go sign up with Ryan and it's going to be $10,000 to learn how to do this. And people will lose their shit. Like, they will,
Yeah.
like, they can't justify making themselves better.
Oh, that's fraud, or like they say that's scamming.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Like, that's the usual BS that people have when it comes down to coaching. And as a matter of fact, I just spoke about that this morning. Coaching is very important, and everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs a coach,
Oh,
no matter what. There's this guy that I got introduced back when I went to my first tax networking event. And ever since after that networking event, dude, like there has just been a series of just up. Like it's just been a series of just going up the ladder, dude. And it all started with that one event that I went to, where I really did see that momentum change. And
yeah.
there was this coach, and his name is Coach Burt, Coach Michael Burt. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he goes, that's his belief, that everybody needs a coach. He believes that everybody needs a coach at one point in their lives. And I have come to see that. And people, I got a buddy of mine that I told that, yeah, man, I have a coach, I invested in this, I invested in someone telling me how to train, and he kind of like gave his 2 cents in it, and he's like, man, you just wasted money, like nothing, like that's just all a scam, dude. They're just trying to get rich, and I'm like, well, not necessarily, dude, because they have something of value.
Yeah, I mean, you took, I mean, X amount of things away from that. What if you learned
Exactly.
one thing because you actively participated in that that you didn't know before? What's that one thing worth? I
Dude,
mean, people have a very small vision when it comes to that because it's something they don't know. It's something they haven't done. But if you keep doing the same things, how do you expect to grow? If you're not putting yourself in those situations, whether it's a mastermind or a class or a live event, I mean, you got to
yes.
do those things. All the great people do that. Biz said something last night too, and I know he shared a post about this, And he said, if everybody looked at their friends and you really looked at them as like saying, that's my board of directors. Do you have the right board of directors? I mean, even in your friend circle, do you have people in there that you can call on that are going to hold you accountable, help you with your discipline, be able to check you, give you honest feedback, and that are contributing to making you better? Not telling you like you're crazy, you spent this money, you're never going to do anything with it just because they have that fear or they're not comfortable in that environment yet. So I think there's a lot to that, man. I think you have to set those things out there and you have to go do it, because another great lesson that I learned, I don't know how big you are in the cigars or anything like that. I'm a big cigar guy. So I
Yeah,
finally
yeah, that's funny that you say that because I just started smoking cigars.
That's awesome, man. So, this is year 3 of my Common Sense podcast, and all 3 years, I've been working on sitting down with one of my favorite people in the entire cigar world, Luciano. And I finally got to sit down with him about a month ago. And he's one of these like just prolific thinkers and guys that really can like captivate a room. And he shares great messages, and he's just really humble and down to earth. Luciano said at one point, if people looked at the things that they're afraid of or that they think they suck at, like just, I mean, you pick anything that you just think I'm really terrible at. Usually, if they dive into that and then you start trying to be better at that, oddly, a lot of times that ends up becoming one of your superpowers, because you recognize a weakness and then you go to an absorbent length to be better at it, maybe even become an expert in it because you know it's something you struggle with or that you had a hard time learning, but then you did that journey and now you have a different way of looking at it and seeing it that you could share with others. And
Yeah,
that could be your superpower.
100%, man. That's a great way to look at it, dude. It's a great way to look at it. Most of the time, what I've realized is that some people are just afraid of taking that step, dude. Taking that first step is usually always the hardest, right? Especially, I mean, and just to kind of like, backtrack a little bit here. It's normally like in the process of being or starting a business or starting some type of endeavor, people are scared, dude. They're scared.
All of us are.
They have that fear of failure. And the thing is that you see, yesterday I was just talking to somebody, and she used to work here for me, and I told her, I go, she had asked me like about setting up an LLC, right? And I go, yeah, well, I know somebody I could refer you out to who could set up your LLC, right? But an attorney friend of mine, and I was like, oh, cool, you're wanting to start a business. She's like, no, it's for a friend of mine. And I go, look, I told her, I forgot what I had said specifically, but I kind of told her, man, well, that sucks because if you were to open up a business, you'd do really good at it. That's what I had told her. And then she goes, well, I wouldn't even know the first thing to do. I go, nobody does, dude.
Yeah, yeah, you have to dive in, man. I mean, because if you look at fear, what's on the other side of that? I mean, like you're either going to learn a lesson and you're going to keep going, and now you're stronger, or you realize that like whatever you were afraid of really didn't matter. And I mean, especially if that is like doing a podcast, being live on camera. There's a lot of people that freak out about that stuff. I mean, I've had people tell me, because my podcast is always shot live in person. I don't do this kind of format unless I'm on somebody else's show. That's just how I run mine, because I see another value in that, being face to face, being able to share a cigar, do those things. It just creates a different environment. But even if you're afraid of being on camera or something like that, what's on the other side of that fear? I mean, how much do people really give a shit? I had a beard for 7 years down to like here that I just shaved off like 2 weeks ago, and people lost their minds and were freaking out. I got all kinds of like from this end to this end of comments about it. But and I'm not gonna lie, there was a little bit of fear of doing it. I hadn't seen my like bare shaven face in 7 years. It still kind of freaks me out when I'm in the mirror or something like that at the gym. But what's on the other side? I mean, is people gonna bust your balls? How long are they gonna do that for? How long are you gonna like really take heat for something? I mean, unless you just did something like really horrible. Stuff moves so fast today. Like people forget what happened the other day. Now, I mean, you do something truly wrong, people aren't gonna forget. But you make a mistake, you fail, you get some egg on your face. I mean, so somebody laughed at you for what, 5 minutes, and maybe once a year when you're around your buddies, they bring that up and bust your balls about it. I mean, like I think people just get so caught up in that stuff that they worry about it and like this is never gonna go away. Well, most time like people really don't care that much about you. Like really think about it.
Dude, I used to be so scared, bro. I used to be so scared to just go live on Facebook, bro. And then I'll do the video and then delete it. Or I would mess up and then go back and delete it. I didn't like what I said here. I didn't like what I said there. I think I was doing a coaching call with Andy Elliott and his team, and he had this other dude that came in. It kind of brought perspective to that.
I bet that was brutal.
Yeah, dude. It was brutal, man. Yeah, they're pretty
They're
intense.
intense.
Yeah. And the guy kind of he goes, nobody gives a shit about you anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, dang, dude. He goes, nobody cares. Nobody's gonna see that shit anyways.
It's your own ego. It's your own ego, man. Like everybody thinks that like people care about them more than they really do, and people think all these different things. They come up with these scenarios in their head, man. And it's really crazy. I mean, I've been doing podcasting live for 3 years now, but I've recently started trying to do more shorts and do more reels and stories as I'm going through my mastermind and stuff like that, and really trying to post more consistently. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, like, I still get nervous about like, I mean, usually I do it either before I go into the gym or after the gym, and just sitting in my truck and I share like whatever it is I'm thinking about, whatever, struck with me that I read the night before, maybe a recap of like today I saved it. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait until we do this podcast and maybe that'll inspire me to say something. But every time I do one of those, when it's, no producer here doing it, no fancy cameras, just me and the, good old cell phone, and I go to do a reel or a story, man, for the first few seconds, that stuff all starts racing through your head, man. Am I going to mess this up? Am I going to say something stupid? And, are people going to like this? Is there value in this? Like, you can come up with 100 good questions to yourself, and you find out most of the time it's that dumb one that's off the cuff that you don't even think. You probably sit there after you did it and go, man, I probably shouldn't post this, but you know what? This is what I'm thinking right now. This is what I'm feeling. This is real. And you just throw it out there.
Yeah.
That's the shit that ends up going viral. And people are, oh man, I'm going through that too. I was thinking that, or, that helped me so much that took the time to say that. And you never know. You could have the biggest guest on here in the world. You could have Andy Elliott on here right now. And like who's gonna say that that's gonna go viral? But you could get on here and just throw out a post that is really heartfelt, really real, and someone else is going through what you're going through, and that shit just blows up. I watch it happen all the time.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Connecting with the audience, man. Connecting with people. That's what people want to see. They want to see that. But first and foremost, is this a real person? Is this guy really going through a scenario this way? And a lot of it really truly is getting your reps in though too. So you got to be getting reps in. You got to be putting that content, and you got to be creating that, because again, you're documenting your journey.
Yeah. Even with your close friends though, we got it. I'm sorry to keep referencing my show last night, but it was one of those nights. It was one of those nights where, like just genuine conversation just kept transpiring and rolling into things. And even when we wrapped and him and I were sitting there talking, and like off the record, him and I just talking about things that we were dealing with, business, personal, whatnot. And like, even though we're as close as we are, we talk multiple times a week. We see each other every week on most weeks, unless one of us is traveling. And I consider him one of my like closest friends. Yet neither of us realized that both of us were dealing with some of the same exact problems, with our business, with, networking, with, you can name it, man. Like just literally think like, yeah, we're both different. We both do totally different things. And yet we're super close friends, but neither of us had took the time to just sit down and have a conversation with each other. Cause our last few weeks have been really hectic. Where normally we do one show every week. We hadn't seen each other in like 2-3 weeks. We talked a bunch, but like we hadn't really got to sit down and cut it up, chop it up, so you don't even think like how much you don't even do that with your closest friends, that you think like, oh man, I'm the only one going through this right now. Or, this is just so unbearable, like whatever it is I'm doing or can't go through. And you don't realize how actually wrong that is, that, everybody's going through that stuff. So, I mean, I just say, like, if people opened up a lot more and really did those things, I mean, the amount of help, the amount of knowing that you're not the only one going through it. This hat I'm wearing here right now, Operation Yellow Tape, this is a tough time of year for people. Your year's wrapping up. You maybe had a good business year, maybe you had a shitty one, and you're trying to go through this stuff. And then you have the holidays and all these other expectations. And I never really thought about this till I heard my friends speak on it. And Operation Yellow Tape does a lot with mental health and suicide,
Yeah.
more geared towards EMS and vets and police, firefighters, all that stuff. But it's not just for them either, man. Like, you don't realize, sometimes just giving people your time and checking on a friend that you haven't talked to in a long time, or following up with somebody, man. I mean, that could be a big difference for a lot of people, and people are struggling this time of year. You feel these obligations to go to all these events, do all these family things, buy gifts, and everybody thinks it's just a monetary thing. Well, what if you just gave somebody your time and you didn't realize that that call could have made the difference in their life? I mean, there's just all kinds of things this time of year that people, I'm glad the elections are over with and you're seeing people get back to treating people like humans again, and that people, even though there's still a lot of divisiveness and, 50% of the people are happy, 50% of people are mad. Well, guess what? How much did that really change your day-to-day life? You still woke up and did the same shit the next day. If you didn't, that's on you. But, most people, your routine in life did not change overnight. Like, you still tied your shoes the same way the next morning.
Wow, dude. All that is true, dude. Man, I've never really saw it that perspective. But yes, well, where you kind of got me first and foremost right there, where you were talking about Operation Yellow Tape, dude. And you got me thinking about because, man, it's crazy, bro. A lot of what you're saying, I literally was thinking about this like earlier. So weird. It's weird. I'm freaking out because I was like, dude, I was just thinking about that. Literally yesterday, you could see a video that I made on Facebook, and I was talking about my last year in November. And I go, I'm sorry, guy, I'm gonna get emotional. But my daughter's birthday's in November, right? That's her birthday,
Okay.
November 21st. And last year, bro, I didn't have any money, bro. Last year was one of my most profitable years of growth, should I say. But I mean, all that money just went back to work, right? And businesses you just go put it all back to work. I mean, I believe if you're running a business, if you're doing it right, put your money to work for you, man.
Yeah.
Burn that shit. Now, my daughter's birthday was coming up, and dude, like, my budget for her birthday was like maybe like $50, bro. Like 30, $50. I had nothing, bro. Like, I remember, like, there was like I had just finished paying all the bills. And this year, come around now a whole year round, I mean, November's looking good. Like, November's usually always a shitty month. Like, no, man, you know what? It's looking good. So I don't want to jinx it. I don't. Hopefully,
Yeah.
and knock on wood. But
You've done the work, man. You've done the work.
yeah. But what's it called? It makes you really truly think though how many other people are going through it and what they're really going through around this time of the year, because a lot of business does slow down for especially like entrepreneurs. And then a lot of people, bro, really go through that depression because it might be their first time without someone, like on Thanksgiving, their first time without someone during Christmas. And
Yeah.
a lot of people have that awareness. It kind of like that's where that like around this time it really truly hits them and it impacts them. But
Plus, it's dark. It's gloomy outside, man. Like,
yeah,
it's night by 5 o'clock. Like,
yeah,
it sets people's moods and stuff, man. If people aren't taking care of themselves, their own mental health, I mean, this is the time of year, man, that it spirals for people. And I
everything
just
starts.
hope that people can be more human and treat people with some dignity and respect, and, make that phone call you haven't made in a month, man. You never know. Like it's always the people that you think are good that aren't good, man. Like, you hear these stories all the time. And sadly, it's happening more and more. And like people just they can't see the other side of it or that there's a way out or that it's going to get better. So maybe you calling and checking on them, letting them know that somebody does care and wants to know how they're doing, that actually gives a shit about them, could be one of those life-saving calls. I mean, you sparked a reminder of a conversation I had with a friend of mine. Guess you may know him from Apex, Alvin Hope Johnson, man. I did a show with him a while back, and he talks about one of his lowest moments where he legit woke up, had no money, like you were saying. It was like his son's, I don't know, like third, fifth birthday, little kid. And he had spent like his last $2 to buy him a Matchbox car because that's all he could do. And his wife ate the last bowl of oatmeal. She was going to work, and as soon as they all left, man, he went, tried to pull the trigger. That didn't work, so ate a whole bottle of pills. And next thing he know, he woke up like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days later in the hospital with his mom at the foot of his bed. And that was that life-changing moment for him. But luckily, he didn't lose his life that day. And what if that was your friend and you had no idea that times were that hard? Because no, people don't want to talk about, or they don't post about the shit that all of us go through, the hard times. And I mean, and I don't blame them. I mean, like I don't all the time either. There's
Yeah.
some things that need to be held inside, but I mean, you still need a circle of friends, a wife, a husband, a friend, a brother, a sister, mom, dad, whoever you have in your life that you can share that with. It doesn't mean it's made
Yeah.
for social media 100% of the time, but you got to have those things. But what if that was your friend and you thought everything was hunky dory, but what if you had called him that morning and been like, "Hey man, are you good? I know it's your son's birthday today. Like what's going on? Everything good?" What if that was the conversation that stopped him from even ending up in that hospital? Because you called him, it's like, bro, man, I just had the roughest November slash Q1, Q2, Q3. They all sucked this year, man. I'm struggling. Like, I don't even know how I'm gonna put food on the table. And you were like, well, man, I figured I was going to his birthday party or something. So, man, how can I help? And maybe you're in that position to help that person. Maybe your call alone was enough. Like everybody
Straight
wants to
up.
get caught up in this gift giving stuff. And it really should be more about the time you're spending with those people. If they're people you care about, man, you don't have to get them some elaborate gift or do something crazy. Like literally just spending the time with them. I mean, what's most of the things most men here in the world, I would bet on average, the majority of you, what does your significant other tell you all the time? Like, I just want your time. I want you present. I want you here. Put this damn thing down. Like that's what people want, and what this should be about.
Yeah, man. The statistically, men are the ones that have a higher percentage in a sense where of suicide.
Yeah, because we
You know what
think
I
we're
mean?
supposed to be men and carry it all on our shoulders.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
don't feel
dude.
like other men are going through it. You don't want to seem weak. You don't want to talk about
Yes,
it.
correct.
I mean, I stand up for those guys that are doing that stuff. I mean, there's a lot of people. My buddy Kenny Mitchell that runs Operation Yellow Tape, Rob Sweatman with Sleep Genius. There's a Jason Redmond. There's a ton of people out there that are really doing a lot to help focus on these things and to help people through a lot of these things because everybody has shit in their life. It's not all Lambos and private jets and this influencer stuff, man. Like I'm honestly glad, Ryan says a lot about this, and it's why I'm a big fan of his and why I'm part of Apex is, like I'm tired of this influencer stuff. Like who really wants to be influenced? Like you don't want to be influenced. You want to learn shit. You want to network. You want to grow. You don't want to be influenced. Like there's so many fakers out there just doing stuff that aren't real and don't actually share anything worthwhile. And you watch it day in and day out. Another one drop, another one drop.
Yeah, yeah, man. And you had said something right now, man. Shoot, and I lost my thought process on it, dude.
I tend to do that sometimes.
I have ADHD, brother. Maybe that's it, all right. But the entrepreneurial. world, dude. As entrepreneurs, it's a lonely path. Really, no, and that's why I'm thankful for Apex, to be quite honest, dude. Like, I know this isn't my story to tell, and nor do I want to, say the story, but this earlier this week, right, in one of the coaching calls with Ryan, I had the opportunity to actually speak to Clive or Clave, I think that's the name, Clave, the gentleman that came on. I don't know if you were able to join that call,
This
but
week.
I was able to speak to him. Right, he wanted to talk taxes, so got him in, gave him some advice. Just give him a lot of value, dude. As much value as I possibly can with the questions he had. And that guy, bro, he's sleeping in his own car right now. He's
I
insane.
did hear the little bit of the recap on that. I heard Ryan posted about it.
Yeah, dude. And it made me think, like, shoot, dude, here I am, like, complaining and just like about small things. And then this guy's going through that. Like, that's tougher, that's like, and we tend to forget to be thankful for the things that we have, man. And a lot of the start to beating depression, right? Then this is because that's where it comes into, right? The depression side of things. And shoot, I'd gone through it, dude. I'd gone through it. I had to go to a therapist, dude, because I mean, there was a moment where I just didn't want to be here anymore. I just knew it wasn't okay for me to have these type of thoughts. So I went out there, I went out and looked for help, and I was able to, find a free counselor, right, for a while. And I had a lot of moments of clarity, right? A lot of like, whoa, this is why I do this. This is why this happens, right? And the big component, because I remember when I first started feeling this way was when I had separated with my spouse, and I was gonna take medication, antidepressants. And then at that time, I had a client of mine that kind of talked me out of it and was like, because she was a counselor herself, right? And she goes, the best way to beat depression is to face it straight on. I kind of like face it straightforward. Now, I'm not a therapist or anybody licensed to do that. I mean, medication might work for some people, but I didn't see myself doing that, right? I wanted to tackle it head on. I knew that this is what I had to control. I knew that this was what I needed to get a handle of, because this is your power right here, 100%. This could either be your worst enemy, your greatest foe, or your best friend, right? And foe's enemy, right? That's what foe means. Okay,
Yeah,
just double checking. um, so essentially, the mind, right? It was all like, okay, I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't want to feel this way. I choose not to feel this way. I don't want to. What do I have to do to change
absolutely.
this? And then it was going to the therapy. It was going to talk about. It was healing this inner child within me. It's going back on those memories. It's really trying to understand what's the triggers. And then now it's figuring out, okay, what has been helping me a great bunch, especially when I'm having just like a day where there's like a dark cloud following me, which thank God I haven't really been feeling that way these last couple of days because of exercise. So these last few times I've been going to the gym, I go to a CrossFit gym here locally near me. And bro, like we're like doing some intensive workouts, bro, and I'm be like towards the end, I'm just like, right, like just like tired. But dude, 30 minutes, an hour later, I'll get this hit of endorphins, boom, and it
Set your tone for the whole day,
it
man.
feels good, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I can't do the evening stuff. I mean, unless my schedule just gets crazy. But being back in the gym and being healthy, I lost a bunch of weight and I burnt myself out again. And I took about 3 months off and started piling it back on, and started eating shitty again, started not taking care of it. And like I've been back in going strong again for like the last 3 or 4 months. And man, like say I only work out 6 days, 5 days a week, but like a lot of times, man, even on a Sunday, if I get up and around, I mean, I might just go for a walk, or I might go to the gym and just walk on the treadmill and do some light stretching and do some stuff, just because the mental clarity that it provides, the like you talking about endorphins and stuff like that. I mean,
Mhm.
one of the other reasons I like working out in the morning is you get up and go to the gym at 5 a.m. There are no excuses. I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, you're this, that. There are no excuses at 5 a.m. Your phone's not ringing, a client's not making you go do something. 9 times out of 10. I mean, like you might get the rarity, or you might be in a certain profession where that does happen, but most of the time, you don't have an excuse at 5 a.m. And you go knock that out, you feel better, you're energized. It almost does the opposite for me if I work out at night, because now I've gone through whatever I went through throughout the day. My workout was not near as good because I've already spent X amount of energy. I already have X amount of stress built up. And sometimes that's a good release, but most of the time, once that's done, those endorphins hit you and now you're exhausted. And you might sleep real good, but for me, that usually means I'm exhausted. I'm not quite ready to go to bed yet. And now the brain starts turning. So,
Mhm.
I try to do it in the mornings, but yeah, man, people, you only get one body. So you let that go to shit. I mean, you can't buy that. You can't fix that 100%. So, I mean, you start doing those things and it helps in so many other areas of your life too. I mean, it creates discipline. So many people in entrepreneurs lack discipline. And you're talking about that guy that's sleeping in his car. Yeah, it's good to take time to reflect and think about the journey you've been on and where you're actually at. Like you may not have still accomplished some of these like high end goals you have for yourself, but you have accomplished some things.
Yes.
Maybe you even accomplished a failure that taught you something. That's still an accomplishment. You know, you're
Yes.
going to get to a point, I know I did personally before I ever saw the bigger picture of being a partner here at Element. You know, the amount of people that are still with us 16 years later, the people that saw me working my way up, the next challenge you get after that grind and going through the shit you went through, like me up here working 18-hour days, sleeping on the couch just to get my projects done and get, be the best at my job at Element and in my industry for what I was trying to do. The next part that becomes hard then is now, how do you teach that to the people that are coming in below you? How do you bring those people up?
Mhm.
How do you set that standard for them? Because it's not as easy as you think. Yeah, it's cool to have those stories and it's cool to reflect upon them, but I have yet to see where that like really works. And maybe that's a lack of my coaching leadership. I mean, I really don't know, but how do you transfer that to somebody else? How do you show them that desire, that passion, like what it took? Like, because they didn't see that. That happened 16 years ago. They didn't see that. They don't know that. They think your job's cozy and easy now. You're a partner, you're in sales, you're one of the top sales guys in the company. You do these things, you're getting to do the fun things with clients, you're entertaining, you're golfing, you're doing these things. They don't see the back end of it. So making that real for people then becomes your next like leadership challenge of being able to, coach and mentor someone as you continue to level up in your entrepreneur journey and growing a business. So yeah, those things are important, but there's always going to be something after that. There's a next stage, there's another level, there's something else to conquer. So, that's what I try to do with my show a lot of times is, get those people to tell those stories because if you hear that story, if you're like me, I either have to do it myself. I can't always just hear it, but sometimes there's little life lessons and nuggets like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have that happen to learn that lesson. Like that lesson sounds like it'd be a lot easier to learn just because I sat down here with Ace and he told me this story and like, shit, man, I'm going through that too. Like, but if I do what he did, then I got to experience that. Like, no, 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 I don't want to go down that road. I'm gonna pivot a little bit and go around that because like he already told me how you can avoid that.
Yes, and the leadership, man. That's something myself I'm struggling in. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, what I've said, I have said this before, and I go, I don't know how to manage a team because I never had to manage it. In a sense, not trying to say that I put myself in this situation because I do feel that God put me in this situation, that I am favored to be put into this situation, in a sense of when it comes down to being a supervisor or being a leader for my team, right? And yeah, I've gone through my set of people that I've fired, or they've quit on me, and it all throughout 1 year, dude. 1 year. Like right now,
Yeah,
I have nobody working for me in person. I have a remote team of VAs that are helping me right now, but the VAs could have been helping me all along. You know what I mean? And it
yeah,
would have been just that much more of an easier transition because when I had my team here, and it was like, okay, I had to focus on this, but then they had their questions and they had to come bother me or they had to come ask me questions. It would get me off track of what I was trying to do. And it wasn't like I wouldn't get upset about it. Obviously, I go and I help them out, but it was like, how do I stop that? Because, dude, like they're now I have to go train them. Now I have to go teach them how to do something. And I took my time, especially this one person, I took my time to get them to a point where, they were trained. There was already going to be a year, right, with me in the business. And then at that point, I was paying this person a lot more than what I was paying myself, right? Because it was like, buy back your time. Yeah, I've seen that book, dude. I've seen it.
Ryan's talked about this book, man. I went to BK Live. That was one of the things I did for myself this year. And what you're talking about,
A little bit about that book, bro.
yeah, yeah. So I'm like halfway through this, a little over a third of the way, probably somewhere between there. I got to hear him speak at BK Live. Amazing dude, founder of multiple companies. This guy's a bona fide badass, multi millionaire. This is something I struggle with, and that we struggle with here at Element is training people. I mean, training people is hard. And he talks about that in buying back your time. You got to put people allocated in the right places to do the right things so that you can do the things that fire you up and that you're good at. Get rid of the other minutia, send it off. And one of the things he was talking about was taking like a video of yourself doing something. Like, I don't know what it is exactly that, like, I could give you an example of in your world, but like me, like a cost sheet. Like when I'm costing out this pretty standard basic job that we do all the time, like me taking a minute to just set up the camera, video myself doing it, and then you make these series of these things. That way that person can go back and watch that and see it like firsthand and know exactly how you would do it. And maybe
Yes.
that saves them from having to interrupt you. You're focusing on these big X things that you've got to do, and they do that. But there's a whole nother world of just, creating curriculum and for what it is you do that you're the expert at. Because at a certain point, starting out, you're wearing all the hats, you're doing everything. And then as you start to offload those things and you go down that road, it's a whole different ball game. And you've got to be able to come up with curriculum and ways to teach and train people to pick up those things and, hire the right person. That's a big part of it. But, you got to have that curriculum. You've got to have that. And it's something we struggle with that we're trying to focus on and work on because it's kind of sink or swim a lot of the times. Either people either get it and they know it, or there's certain things that are easier in my business to train people on than others. And you can't give somebody drive. I mean, you can try to motivate them, you can do all those things, but that comes down to your hiring at that point, because not everybody's going to have the same drive as you. They don't have the same intentions. They don't have these factors that are in play. So you have to deal with that, and you have to find ways to go around that, work with it.
Dude, my problem was that these people that I was bringing in, right, like locally, right, they expected like corporate job, dude, like oh, I want benefits, I want this, and it's not bad to ask for that. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's like, dude, I'm a small business, bro. Like, I don't even make over $200,000 a year, dude. Like,
There's
I'm barely,
sacrifices.
yeah, dude. Like, I barely started making over six figures, last year, and then this year we're hitting that mark again. And it was like it was the accommodations, right, that they come in with, the mentality that a lot of these people are coming in with. And I'm not saying it's wrong,
Yeah,
they want to, work for a place that way, it's not here. In the
yeah,
beginning, it's not here. I mean, and I think it was actually Patrick Bet David is the one that helped me get some clarity on how to like bring it on. If I ever do bring anybody on board, especially for a startup business, let them know it's a startup business and it's still in pre, mode in a sense before
yeah,
getting to where it needs to be. And yeah, there's going to be even times where it's like, okay, I need you to wear two of the hats that many hats that I'm wearing, and yeah, dude, it's gonna be like that in the beginning. And yeah, you can't give health insurance, you can't give a 401k, you can't give $20 an hour. $30 an hour. You know, you can't do any of that. And it kind of disincentivizes people who come in already with that mentality. And the way I'm planning with this next person, if you know God ever does bless me with somebody else to come on board, is just to let them know straight on forward, hey, this is not a big company. I cannot give you any of these accommodations, but there's a whole lot of room to grow if you help me build this company to where I need to get it to, because there's a difference between entrepreneurialism and entrepreneurialism, right? Being an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is that's your business, you're the one taking all the risk, right? Entrepreneur, you're working for somebody else, but you're working just as hard as the business owner, but you have no risk, right? And the entrepreneur, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm needing. That's who I
Yeah,
need.
you're trying to find those day one guys. You need a right hand man. So,
Yes.
you've got to make that vision known to them and tell them what you're willing to offer them if they do stick with you through all that and, work their way up and show that dedication, show that. I mean, I did not come into the job I have right now thinking about being a partner or being an owner. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Like I knew I had these skills and that I could be an asset to them, but I didn't think about it. I straight focused on me and me being the best person here at my job and climbing that ladder as far as I climb and just I wanted to be number one. I wanted to beat my boss's ass in sales. I wanted to kill his sales records. I wanted to, whatever that was going to take. And through doing that, then, 10 years down the road, I got to a point where it was like, okay, I have these opportunities. I've built this network of people and clients and customers and friends that all help me be successful at what I do. Why am I not doing this for myself? But I had owned a business before. When my father passed when I was 24, I got out of the insurance industry and I started a decorative concrete company. And that lasted about 2.5, 3 years. And then the economy turned to shit and I had to start filling in the hole versus digging it deeper. But I learned a tremendous amount from that. And I was in a situation where I made good money, I have a good salary. If I wanted to make more money, go sell more. I mean, it's solely on my shoulders. Like, I didn't look at it as like, how much more am I making them that I could be keeping for myself? I know what rate of commission I make. I have a good salary that I can live within those means, and I'm just going to go for it. So I kind of approached them with that and was just like, hey, like, what keeps me to do this? Like, why don't I go start my own thing? Like, I could go, I know I have a non-compete for X amount of time. I could go stay in my industry selling something different, maintain those accounts, and then in 2 years, go start my own thing and do it. But I didn't want to do that. So like I worked out a deal where it's kind of that thing. Like I was with them from the beginning. I worked my way. I showed what value I could bring to them and then had the serious conversation with them. And guess what? It worked out. It all came together. And now I'm a partner here. And I don't have to worry about those things. Now, if I want to be an entrepreneur in other areas like growing my podcast, doing the music venture, investing in properties, whatever it is that I'm choosing to go down and do now, that's aside from that. Like everything else is in order. My house is in order. Those things are taken care of. And if you focus on those things and do those, you can put yourself in one of those positions. And I think that's kind of got to be your pitch to someone else is saying like, hey man, like I'm trying to build something here and this is what I'm building. And if you're with me and you believe in this, man, like I'm gonna take care of those that were with me from day one, those day one people, man. Like, like let's grow this thing. Let's see what we can do. I can't offer you X, Y, and Z right now, but what I can offer you is this opportunity, and this opportunity is X. So you want to grow this business. Every person you bring in makes you this much money. So when we get to here, now we can hire some other people to do these things and this and that, and it just continues to grow. And then you're in a different position.
I love that, dude. Man, I love that. And that's exactly where the vision is heading, bro. And that's exactly where the vision of the company that I have in here, bro. I have a huge vision, bro. I saw it. I saw it
Yeah.
today, bro. Like I've seen it prior as well too, but today was I saw it. Like it was just like, man,
It's just like that with the the music podcast I mentioned. I mean, I wish I could talk a little bit more about it, but that's an idea I've had since I was like 18 years old, man. And I thought I needed to like buy this badass piece of land or building and make this huge venue and do all these things. But guess what? I started doing that podcast just for fun. And I was like,
Music podcast. What's that one? Is that the common sense one?
no, common sense is where I just sit down with unique evangelists. That's where I'm going. And I've got a music one that's coming out where we're going to be doing live shows. There'll be some songwriting stuff in there.
Dude.
That's about as far as I can talk about it right now, just because I'm
Oh,
still
yeah,
dealing with the trademark attorneys. But my
okay.
point in bringing it up was this. I'm 44, about to be 45. This idea started when I was 18 years old. And I thought it had to be this big thing. How am I ever going to get that much money or find the investors? And I don't want to give up that much of it, and I didn't forget, but then the pivot came. The pivot came when I was doing Common Sense and working on that podcast. And I was like, I don't have to have all this. I can make this all work within these things, and this can be the launching point, and I can do it all virtually, and I can take advantage of all these amazing venues that are already here, that are other people that need other events. They need other acts booked. They need this. So I can work it a whole nother way. So don't let go of those ideas, or even, you said today you have this clarifying vision of what it is you're doing and trying to do. Hold on to that. Like, and that might not be the final thing, man. Like, that might be another stepping stone in the next point, and then something else happens, or you have another conversation with somebody, or you meet somebody that can make something else in that world happen. And maybe it's just a slight pivot. That pivot saves you from doing all these other things that you couldn't figure out, or that you hadn't figured out yet. I think a big thing is, the last thing I really want to hammer home on this is, because I feel like you probably relate to this a lot. I know I do personally. Growing up, I always knew I wanted to be some kind of entrepreneur. I knew I wanted to do these things. I wanted to have mailbox money. I want to do these things. I want to travel. I want to have control of my time. And you spend so much time trying to figure out, because every book, every that you read in any of these lanes or categories about growing, being better at these things, they have a 10-step process or a 3-step process, all this thing. Find your purpose, find your passion. These are key words that they mix in and do in different ways. Somebody told me this, and I don't remember who said it exactly, but when I was at BK Live, one of the big things I took away from that is this: quit worrying about your purpose and passion. Do the things that you're doing with purpose and with passion, and then you will develop and find those things that truly fire you up, that show you more of
Dang.
what your purpose and passion are. Don't focus on having to know what that purpose or that passion is. Be passionate about what you're doing and being the best at what you're doing, and have the discipline to do those things. And if you keep doing that, that's going to come organically. Everybody thinks there's some magic answer or some book I can tell you to go buy, or you're going to figure that out. I still don't have that completely figured out, but you know what? The things I do engage in, I don't talk about it. I'm about it. I do those things. I go and get myself involved, and I try to do as much of those things with as much purpose and passion as I can. And then these other things just start coming together.
There you go, dude. I love that. I love that, brother. Hey, this is what people need to be listening to, and this is the message that we give, and this is why we do what we do, man, to help other people's journey just that much better.
Absolutely. 100.
But before we do end this podcast, man, brother, for my audience, where can they find you? What is your Facebook? Do you have a website? How can they find you if they're looking for you to work with you or something?
Yeah, so you can find me at txelement.com. That's where you can find me for the multifamily stuff, if that's your space and you want to connect on there. Garrett L. Reed. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, you name them. If you look up Common Sense, I had to do a play on it because some idiot bought the domain, but it's Common Sense, CENTS. You can go to commonsensethepodcast.com. That'll link you up to everything that we have going on there. You can see what guests we've had. You can catch up on shows. But yeah, we're on YouTube, Facebook, typically every Thursday. I'm live 6 to 8 p.m. shooting from Industrial Cigars with my guests on there. That's live on Facebook and YouTube. Would love to get some more YouTube subscribers. YouTube is the hardest one to grow if you do not know that already. So come like, share, follow, even if there's a friend you think that could gain from one of these messages, that means the world. It really helps us with the algorithms and everything else, man. And I really appreciate you having me on and having this talk with me today, man. It's cool to get to network and connect with other guys doing similar things, man. It's really cool.
Hell yeah, bro. I appreciate you coming on. Glad that you're here. And you take care, brother, man. Have a good
Hey, you
one.
too, man. Peace.
Yes, sir.